Getting back to your original question about the unfavorability ratings, unfavorable ratings of these both candidates, it's justified. It's justified. People should be very suspicious of Hillary Clinton, who tells us her emails have to be kept private on her private server, but she'll call Edward Snowden a traitor for telling us that the government has been spying on our email.
Yeah.
You know, she knows and wants to keep her email, but if Snowden tells us, hey, the NSA is doing that to everybody else, including the leader of Germany and Brazil and everywhere else, oh, no, that's a crime. He's got to come back and face the music. The same thing your congressman here in Pasadena, Adam Schiff, you know, considers Snowden a traitor, but, oh, no, but Hillary Clinton, of course, had to keep her email safe. He's not going to go after her. And he, top-ranking Democrat on the House Intelligence Committee, doesn't tell us anything about what the NSA and the CIA have been doing, whether it's about torture, whether it's about, you know, spying on all of our information. And he's a Democrat. So he's supposed to be something of a liberal Democrat here in liberal Pasadena. So what does that tell you about how the system works? Yes, he can say, Trump, oh, he's really evil. Well, why aren't you evil, you know, fella?
Right. What is, isn't lesser of two evils still evil?
No, well, then it's an interesting question. We don't have a lot of time, so let me just tell you one really important thing.
Yes.
Or raise a question. Does the danger come from the demagogue who's most extreme, or the demagogue who's most, I said Democrat, but the demagogue who's most effective in misleading us? Because you got all kinds of people walking down the street here who say loony, crazy, wild things. Now, admittedly, it's pretty scary when one of them is running for president like Donald Trump. But isn't the greater danger from an establishment that can speak in very nuanced terms and sophisticated and, you know, not use wild language, but what they're actually defending are irrational policies? You know? I mean, Hillary Clinton still defends regime change. She still defends. She said, well, my vote might have been wrong and we got bad information, but she still defends the Iraq War. And she certainly defends going into Libya, and she certainly defends messing up Syria. And if you read Hillary Clinton's memoir, she boasts of the fact that she was pushing Obama to a more hawkish stance. You know, and then you got Madeleine Albright, one of the worst hawks we've had in government, again, because she was so effective in selling what should not be sold. That's my test of a dangerous demagogue. It's not how loony they sound, because if they're really loony, you can kind of check them out. It's when they've got a message that's effective. Hitler, who went from being a loony to effective, was effective because German economy was in a mess. People were looking for scapegoats. They were looking for explanation, and that guy can sell this garbage, you know? Well, right now, we got a country that's messed up. People know we've been in wars that do not make us safer. We've stoked this whole Muslim terrorism enemy in a totally irrational, crazy way. And we have an economy that sucks and does not give, you know, has growing income inequality and does not give. So then the question is, okay, I could sit here all day long and blast Donald Trump, but who's pointing out that it was Hillary Clinton who defended the end of welfare, the main federal anti-poverty, when her husband was president? I know, I interviewed him back then before he became president when he was governor of Arkansas, and she defended so-called welfare reform, which turned out to be a phony. And he presided over the concentration of the economy with media ownership, you know, communications.
Telecommunications Act of 1996.
And you can go right down
Omnibus Crime Bill.
And so
NAFTA even.
And then, you know, so here's Hillary Clinton saying, yeah, that guy Trump, he's really dangerous. But, you know, where were you, Hillary Clinton, when your party went along with torture? You know, when, you know, you're...
Where was the outrage?
And where was the truth about, if we talk about Snowden, we talk about the surveillance state, we talk about Chelsea Manning being in jail and every other, Sperling in jail, all these people in jail, they were put in jail by Democrats more effectively than Republicans. Barack Obama jailed more people for telling the truth than George Bush did. So what, you know, John Kiriakou, a CIA guy for 12 years, and tried to make this country safer without torture. Tells us something about torture. He goes and serves 2.5 years in prison. So the Democrats have waged very effective war against truth tellers
Yes.
and to silence opposition. And they do it maybe more effectively than some outrageous Republican like Dick Cheney or Donald Trump who scare us.
And in the economic policy, there's no discussion at all about government creating jobs programs.
What happened? It's very sad.
The environmental policy is incomplete.
Let me try to wrap this up in a way that is not going to make you happier. But we have some very bright, important, bright moments in our history. We had abolitionists.
Yes.
You know, we had Tom Paine before that.
Yes.
We had people who would tell us the truth and would work for progress. We had Martin Luther King, who, by the way, everybody forgets because now Martin Luther King is a cold statue in Washington, but I published Martin Luther King in Ramparts magazine. I knew Martin Luther King, and I was in the South during some of the civil rights stuff. I was just one obviously of many, many people. But everybody forgets Martin Luther King's speech at Riverside Church in New York, where he said, how do I tell a young kid in the ghetto to shun violence when my government is the major purveyor of violence in the world today? Martin Luther King.
Yeah.
Okay, he was talking about the massive bombing, carpet bombing in Vietnam, and he based it, by the way, on reading Ramparts magazine and an article we had about those atrocities. And so let's not forget, you know, that the good people, so-called, the lesser evil people, have created a lot of evil in this world.
Yes.
You know, so I'm not going to sit here and say I'm not worried about Trump being president. It's pretty frightening. But how did we get to this place where people would consider it? You know why? Because the Republicans, first of all, discredited themselves. They sold the people on a bunch of hokum about religious values and, you know, the new religious right. At the same time, they were stealing money from them. Okay?
Right,
Finally,
right.
people wake up and say, hey, we've had it with the Bushes, and we've had it with all these folks. At least this guy Trump is saying we got to get some better trade deals, and we got to worry about jobs and paying people. So they're upset. They're worried, and they've lost their houses. They've a lot of hurt. There's a lot of pain out there.
That's right.
Well, what did the Democrats do? They had a great candidate in Bernie Sanders, great
Yes,
candidate.
yes.
And Bernie Sanders comes along and is one of the great truth tellers of American history.
I agree.
You know, lays it out there. And when I was at the Democratic Convention,
Yes,
that
you
was
were.
a religious revival for the military-industrial complex.
Wasn't it a job fair too?
Well, it's definitely a job fair. I mean, everybody's looking for their angle. But really, they buried Bernie. They buried Bernie, and they buried the message. And you had one hawk after another, you know, Panetta, you know, who condoned torture, concealed torture, gets a big standing ovation there and applause. Madeleine Albright, you know, all these people. And Bernie Sanders is just pushed out off the side. You know,
And the supporters were there, the delegates were there to raise the issues.
And the fat cats, the rich that ripped off the people, they're hey, you know, okay, this is the most disturbing thing about the last couple of elections. The Democrats, they love to bring up Citizens United and the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
And they were going to make this a big issue if it was Jeb Bush running or something, okay?
Yeah, yeah.
You don't hear that much about Citizens United. Why? Because when Barack Obama was running, you know, against John McCain, right? Barack Obama, McCain still took public funding. And it was Barack Obama who went to Wall Street and took private funding, did not do public funding. And what do you got now in this election? Yeah, you know, Trump's out there, he's got his own money, he's raising some money, but who is the great fundraiser for Wall Street? Who's backed by Wall Street? It's Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
And now these people are not fools. They know that with Hillary Clinton, they're going to get a more effective protection for their piracy than they're going to get with Donald Trump. Donald Trump gets in and everybody's going to say, wait a minute, what is this guy going to do? You know, is he going to be the bandit? Is he going to, you know, do worse? So maybe we'll get some checks and balances, you know. Or maybe we'll, even on the nuclear question, maybe we'll say, hey, the President of the United States should not have the power to wipe out the rest of the world.